everyone. So we're reading a poem today called Macavity Cat. I had to restart my entire video because I was pronouncing it Macavity. It's Macavity. It is about a annoying, troublesome cat demonstrated by yours truly, who also threw up during one of my videos, so that's called irony. Anyway, it's going to be about a cat. If you know cats, you know how annoying they can be and how silly they are. So he's going to focus a lot about that, and it's actually kind of funny. So stay tuned. I lied. Maybe everyone pronounces it differently. I looked up Cats the Musical, and they pronounce it Macavity. So I'm going to record this for the 10th time. Back to my original one. Hey everyone, this is our last poem that we're looking at before we start your poetry project, which you will find out about on Monday, so don't ask me what it is. Show it to you on Monday. So this is called Macavity Cat, and it's a lot of fun, and I'm not saying that because I'm a crazy cat lady. It's actually a funny poem. So here's a little representation of him. This was written by T.S. Eliot. He was a 20th century poet, which means that a lot of his work, again, focuses on a single object, and there's not a lot of deeper meaning to it. Like this one, he's just telling a funny story about his cat, and that's all it is. He wrote some really famous stuff. You'll probably read it in high school. One of his most famous works is about a dude who keeps getting rejected by ladies, so that one's pretty funny too. Also kind of sad. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1948, so he's a pretty big deal, pretty famous, and a lot of his poems and stories inspired characters on the Broadway show and now movie Cats, so that's fun and slightly terrifying. So I went through and picked out some of the more confusing words. If you are confused by a different one, make sure you look it up. That's part of annotating. So here we go. A fakir is a Muslim or Hindu monk who is often considered a wonder worker. A peak, that is just the abbreviation. I can't pronounce the actual name. Pekingese, something like that. It is a small, fluffy breed of dog. Stifled means silenced, so eventually in the poem it's going to talk about the peak being stifled, which means the small dog was stifled. Depravity means wickedness. Admiralty is the rank of an admiral. Suavity is sophisticated or fancy. Griddlebone is actually a fictional diva cat who appears in another poem by this guy, so he's alluding to his other poems. A larder is a large cupboard for storing food. Looted means stolen goods, so Macavity Cat looted something from the larder, meaning he stole food from it. And this one, I'm going to try to pronounce it. Not sure what he was going for here, but I think it's Mungo Jerry. This is another fictional cat who's in one of his poems, very mischievous, a pain. And both cats are in the musical Cats too. So, fun fact for you there. Okay, so the full title of the poem is Macavity, the Mystery Cat by T.S. Eliot. So I will read by stanza on this. For those of you who like to see the whole thing at once, there's a PDF on Classroom, so feel free to follow along as I read it, or just read it on your own. Totally up to you. Here we go. Macavity's a mystery cat. He's called the Hidden Paw, for he's the master criminal who can defy the law. He's the bafflement of Scotland Yard, the flying squad's despair, for when they reach the scene of crime, Macavity's not there. Macavity, Macavity, there's no one like Macavity. He's broken every human law. He breaks the law of gravity. His powers of levitation would make a fakir stare, and when you reach the scene of crime, Macavity's not there. You may seek him in the basement, you may look up in the air, but I tell you once and once again, Macavity's not there. Macavity's a ginger cat. He's very tall and thin. You would know him if you saw him, for his eyes are sunken in. His brow is deeply lined with thought, his head is highly domed. His coat is dusty from neglect, his whiskers are uncombed. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake, and when you think he's half asleep, he's always wide awake. Macavity, Macavity, there's no one like Macavity, for he's a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. You may meet him in a by-street, you may see him in the square, but when a crime's discovered, then Macavity's not there. He's outwardly respectable, they say he cheats at cards, and his footprints are not found in any file of Scotland Yards. And when the larder's looted, or the jewel case is rifled, or when the milk is missing, or another peak's been stifled, or the greenhouse glass is broken, and the trellis past repair, aye, there's the wonder of the thing, Macavity's not there. And when the Foreign Office find a treaty's gone astray, or the Admiralty lose some plans and drawings by the way, there may be a scrap of paper in the hall or on the stair, but it's useless to investigate, Macavity's not there. And when the loss has been disclosed, the Secret Service say, it must have been Macavity, but he's a mile away. You'll be sure to find him resting, or a licking of his thumb, or engaged in doing complicated long division sums. Macavity, Macavity, there's no one like Macavity. There never was a cat of such deceitfulness and suavity. He always has an alibi, and one or two to spare. At whatever time the deed took place, Macavity wasn't there. And they say that all the cats whose wicked deeds are widely known, I might mention Mungajerry, I might mention Griddlebone, are nothing more than agents for the cat to all the time, just controls their operations, the Napoleon of crime. Literally 3.5 hours later, I have created the notes for Macavity Cat. It's a fun example of like every word for our poetry terms. It's got almost everything that we've talked about in there. So make sure if you are doing your assignment and you have some questions, check your literary terms packet because a lot of the stuff is there. Don't be afraid to email me or send me a chat. Goodbye. I'm logging off before I mess something else up on this video.